What actually rules this world? Is it weapons? Is it the mighty armies that fight for territories? Or is it power? No. The truth is far more fragile, yet far more powerful than any sword ever forged. It is just paper. But because you, me, and billions of others choose to believe in that paper, it governs every single aspect of our existence. Think about it. A piece of paper in your pocket or a digit on a screen has the power to feed you, shelter you, or ruin your life. Today, we are not just looking at old artifacts in a museum. We are uncovering the dark, hidden secrets behind the evolution of money, and exploring the history of that collective belief, and the great, calculated deception that has been played on humanity for centuries. Take a deep breath and look closely at these displays, because nothing here is as simple as it seems. Our journey begins with a fundamental question. What is value, really? Let's look at our first exhibit. This is a 1797 English £1 banknote. Before this existed, there was a long, bitter struggle between the king and the merchants over who truly controlled the wealth. In 1694, thanks to William Paterson's initiative, the Bank of England was born. At that time, goldsmiths issued what were called goldsmith notes. What did they promise to the people? I promise to pay the bearer on demand. It was a beautiful, comforting promise. But was it the truth? Or was it just selling us a belief? The Restriction Act of 1797 eventually prohibited exchanging banknotes for gold. And just like that, the banknote lost its ties to reality and became power itself. It was the moment paper started to rule over metal, and the world was forever changed. Consider this. How can a bank promise something it doesn't physically hold? This was the first true leap of faith for the modern financial system. Now take a look at these documents from France and Norway. In France, under the reign of Louis XIV, the commercial bank was opened in 1703. They called them bills, but in reality, they were the first true paper money. Then came the French Revolution and the assignats. Their volume skyrocketed from 2.4 billion to 40 billion livres in just a few years. Can you imagine that scale of madness? It was one of the biggest inflationary scams in human history. They learned back then that the more money you print, the faster people lose their trust. And in Norway, in 1695, a businessman named Thormod tried to issue his own currency with government permission. 5 seals were stamped on the notes. But people ignored them. They trusted metal, not paper. That is why Mr. Mole's business failed to take off. They preferred the weight of a coin over the promise of a mun. It is a stark reminder that if you cannot trust the issuer, the paper is worthless. Moving on to this side of the hall. In Russia, Catherine II introduced assignations in 1769 to replace heavy, expensive coins. It was the first Russian paper money, and it could be exchanged for coins at special banks in Moscow and St. Petersburg. But look at America. During the colonial era, they were actually pioneers in paper money. The Massachusetts colony issued notes as early as the 1690s, but by 1787, during their fight for independence, one silver dollar was worth 50 to 60 paper dollars. Do you see how fast that value collapsed? Printing money was much faster than destroying trust. The Continentals were effectively devalued until they were worthless. It makes you wonder. At what point does a currency lose its soul and become just a burden to those who hold it? And the most frightening part of our story. The year 1933. President Franklin Roosevelt's Executive Order 6102. Owning gold was suddenly prohibited. If anyone held more than $100 in gold, they faced a $10,000 fine or 10 years in prison. Imagine that. Being jailed just for holding onto your own wealth in gold instead of paper. It was the moment the state demanded total control over what we call value. It turned a piece of paper into the only legal form of power. This wasn't just a policy, it was a fundamental shift in the relationship between the citizen, the government, and wealth itself. We are still playing that same dangerous game today. If the world completely abandons paper money tomorrow and switches entirely to digital numbers, will your wealth survive? Or is this just the beginning of another great digital deception? Is money gold? Is it the state? Or is it just our collective belief? I want to hear from you. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let's debate this history together. Thanks for joining this tour, and remember, never stop questioning the paper in your pocket.